Hey, RotoBallers, welcome back. I am Pierre, the Roto Chef, here to help you with Week 12 lineups. First of all, happy Thanksgiving to everybody. Let's keep the good times going throughout the weekend with some victories in fantasy football. I'm going to give you my must start and sit wide receivers, a couple of names at each, besides the obvious. I mean, you already know who your wide receiver one is at this point, and you know the guys that you should have absolutely no interest in. So let me tell you some fringe guys that you may be not sure about whether to start, and I'll tell you why I like them or don't. Before we get into it, don't forget, hit that subscribe button if you haven't already, and of course, give us a thumbs up. We appreciate that. So let me get into it. Elijah Moore, well, you'd think it's a no-brainer. He's a must-start after last week. You see what he's been doing. There's some legit questions about what's going to happen to him this week because, well, it's Zach Wilson at quarterback, which is odd to say, the number 2 pick in the draft and the starter from the beginning of the year. But Mike White, Joe Flacco, these guys were at least getting more of the ball. And when Elijah Moore had Zach Wilson at quarterback at the beginning of the year, not much was happening. Now, again, maybe that's because Moore still had, needed some time to kind of get into the groove. A lot of times, rookie receivers, they break out in the second half of the season. And we've seen that with a few guys. But honestly, there is some concern because Wilson hasn't played for a while, and the last time we saw him play, it was ugly. So here's the thing, I don't care because Elijah Moore is that good. He's gonna get the ball in his hands, and that's all we need is just a few targets, right? Just a few targets, and I think Moore will get them. They can't go away from him based on how he's playing. Corey Davis is going to play, but he's also banged up going into this game, questionable. I think Moore has established himself as the wide receiver one in the Jets offense. And of course, this matchup, kind of begs you to start him anyways because it's the Texans. The Texans, look, forget about the fact that they pulled this shocking upset last week. They still give up over 100 yards receiving to Nick Westbrook-Akine. All right, and that's because A.J. Brown was banged up and there was nobody else to throw to. They're still giving receivers fantasy points. I think Moore is in a fine spot this week. Is he going to do what he did last week, go for 141? Probably not, but that's okay. You have to keep him in your lineup. You cannot risk having points left on the bench based on, the fact that it's the Texans. All right, now another rookie receiver, talk about breaking out. Bateman, also a guy that didn't do much last week, but he had a good excuse. He had Tyler Huntley at quarterback. They barely threw the ball. They really didn't need to because the Bears on the other side, it's not like they're posing, a threat to put up a lot of points. So Bateman, I think he's going to continue the ascent that he was on before last week. Lamar Jackson is going to be back. Marquise Brown should be back, but that's okay. It's not like that was holding Bateman back anyways. I think it's just going to make the offense more effective overall. This is a big divisional game, something that they need, both sides, Cleveland and Baltimore. Look, Baltimore's in a better spot right now. They're kind of rolling. They got their swag back. Cleveland is banged up and hurting mainly on offense. But again, I don't think this is a game that Baltimore is going to let down. I think they know that this is important for them. Cleveland's defense has been looking better on paper than it really is because of a couple of games against mediocre teams with no passing game, such as the Lions last week, right? Browns defense looked amazing. It was against the Lions, okay? So let's not get carried away. And so I think Cleveland is definitely able to be exposed in the secondary. Bateman is a guy I want to keep locked in there. Not the highest of ceilings. He doesn't have like the same kind of ceiling as Elijah Moore does, right? Or Marquise Brown. But I think this is a really solid play for you, even in standard leagues, because he's not a guy who depends on volume. He's getting big plays down the field. And then a second year guy, like I've always been on him. I knew he would come back strong. That's Brandon Ayuk. And some people are still saying, well, inconsistent. We don't know what to get from week to week. Look, since he got back involved as one of the primary receivers, of course, it's the Debo show in San Francisco. But with Ayuk, like out of the past 3 games, he's gone over 85 yards in 2 of them. The one he didn't, it was against the Rams, which not only is that the Rams and their secondary, but that was the game that surprisingly, they didn't even need to pass the ball, right? They were up the whole time, and so they just established the run. They chewed up some clock. I think that Ayuk is in a good spot against Minnesota. This game should be pretty much back and forth. I think we're seeing that Ayuk is going to kind of settle in and be a dependable wide receiver too. Yeah, I said wide receiver 2, not 3. I think he's going to start doing what he did last year and continue to do that because they need him in this offense. So, Brandon Ayuk, don't even question the matchup or anything. I think he's a set and forget rest of the way. Now, Not Mike Williams, not set and forget. You can't, as much as you look at his point totals, it's a week to week thing with him. You know he's the ultimate boom or bust, right? Now, last week did kind of boom, but it was all because of that one play where, for whatever reason, Pittsburgh just left him wide open, and this is the end of the game. He kind of saved his day with his long touchdown at the end. Now, he can do that, right? He'll pull off those big plays. Mike Williams is a big play guy. But again, if he doesn't hit on that, you're left with not very much. So what's going to happen this week against Denver? Look, Denver's okay. Their pass defense is just kind of middle of the pack. It's nothing to be scared of, but it's also, nothing that you're going to expect a huge game from. What's going to happen in this game? I kind of think it's going to be one of those divisional slugfest type games, not as high scoring as we expect. I do think that the Chargers are going through, as we see. Austin Eckler is the first choice here. Keenan Allen has reasserted himself as a primary receiver. Williams, again, he hits that big play. Yeah, maybe he scores a touchdown. Maybe he pulls off some points. But a big chance for a bust here. I can't guarantee that he's going to bust because he could always, pull something out. But yeah, this Denver defense is also kind of the opposite of what I talked about with Cleveland. They've been pretty solid and consistent throughout the season. They don't give up huge games for the most part to opposing receiving corps. So, and you've noticed that in the last few weeks, they've been definitely better in terms of limiting production to wide receivers, kind of keeping wide receiver groups at 150 total yards or less for the past few games. And they've actually been playing better since they traded away Von Miller on defense for whatever reason. So this is a team going to be fresh off the bye. I think their defense is strong enough to keep Williams locked down. And the last one here, kind of a gut call here. I'm going to say Odell Beckham, despite having the week off to learn the offense, it's still going to take some time, right? It's not going to be this automatic thing where he has this chemistry with Matt Stafford. It's still the Cooper Kupp show on offense. And I know a lot of people are going to just assume, well, Packers Rams is going to be a 42-40 game. It doesn't always work that way, right? When these two good teams go against each other, it's not always a high-scoring game, right? That's what we thought about the Chiefs and the Cowboys the other day. It didn't happen. So, number one, I don't expect that Beckham will assume just assume the number one receiver role or even the number two role, right? I think that it's going to take some time to click. And then also this game, I don't assume it's going to be high scoring because Packers, Rodgers is hurting. They still don't have Aaron Jones. They're a team that in neutral game situations likes to slow it down. They milk the clock sometimes. I think against the Rams, they're going to start to do that. I think it's going to be a little lower scoring game. And so Beckham, I just don't expect a big game from him. Kind of like Mike Williams, sure, he can make a big play downfield. Maybe they get him in the red zone. But again, this is not a guy that I feel super comfortable with. I'd rather have somebody with a higher floor, like some of the guys I already mentioned. All right, guys, those are my top receivers, start and sit, that I like in week 12. Again, if you like this, hit that like button. Let us know. We have all sorts of other videos to help you succeed. Check out Eric's defense streamers and everyone else. As far as waiver wire pickups, it's not too late to pick up some of those guys off the wire. That might help you win this week. So check out everything we have on this channel. All right, thanks for watching.